Story 1. The Mirror Convoy. The 18-wheeler behind me had been following for 43 miles, matching every lane change, every speed adjustment, staying exactly 200 feet back. That wouldn't have bothered me except for one problem. It was my truck. Same Peterbilt 579, same oxidized red paint with the rust spot shaped like Texas on the driver's door. Same cracked CB antenna bent at the same 45-degree angle. I know because I'd been staring at it in my mirrors since Elk City, and 3 minutes ago I'd pulled onto the shoulder near mile marker 67 on Interstate 40 to let it pass. It had pulled over too. Behind me, both trucks idling. When I started driving again, it followed. My name is Robert Hayes. 41 years old, 20 years behind the wheel, hauling refrigerated pharmaceuticals from Oklahoma City to Flagstaff. March 14th, 2023. I've driven through ice storms in Wyoming, dust storms in New Mexico, seen plenty of weird shit on the roads at 3 a.m. But I'd never seen my own truck following me. I grabbed my CB radio. Breaker 19, this is Red Dog eastbound at mile 67 on I-40. Got a situation here. Anyone copy? Static answered. I tried again. Nothing. The highway stretched empty in both directions, unusually empty for a Thursday afternoon. No other vehicles, just me and the thing behind me. I pressed harder on the accelerator. The speedometer climbed to 75, 80, 85. In my mirror, the other truck accelerated too, maintaining that precise 200-foot gap. The gap never varied, not by a foot. I could see the driver now, just a silhouette, but something about the posture looked familiar. The way the shoulders hunched forward, the way the left hand rested on top of the steering wheel. That's when I noticed my own left hand, resting on top of my steering wheel, same position. I moved my right hand to the gear shift. In the mirror, the other driver's right hand moved to their gear shift, simultaneously. Not delayed, not following, simultaneous. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I waved my left hand. The other driver waved their left hand. I slammed my palm against the horn, 3 short blasts. Behind me, 3 short horn blasts echoed, perfectly synchronized with mine. Not a fraction of a second delayed. The CB crackled to life. Red Dog, this is Red Dog. My voice, my exact voice, same slight Tennessee drawl, same rough edge from too many cigarettes. You need to pull over. Who the fuck is this? I demanded. You know who this is. The voice laughed, and it was my laugh. The one my ex-wife always said sounded mean even when I was happy. Pull over at the next rest stop. Mile marker 71, we need to talk. Like hell. Robert, the voice said, and now it sounded tired, worn down. Please, you don't understand what's happening. Pull over before it gets worse. Before what gets worse? The radio went silent. I looked in my side mirror. The truck was still there, but something was wrong with the driver now. The silhouette seemed darker, more solid, and it was leaning forward, staring at me. I could feel the stare even though I couldn't see the eyes. The rest stop sign appeared, 2 miles. My hands were shaking. Every instinct screamed at me to keep driving, to push this rig to its maximum and outrun whatever was behind me. But another part of me, the part that had survived 2 decades on these roads by trusting my gut, said I needed answers. I took the rest stop exit. The other truck followed. The facility was completely empty. No cars, no other trucks, no attendant in the information booth. The building's windows were dark. Even the vending machines inside were unlit. I pulled into a parking spot far from the building. The other truck pulled in next to me. I sat there, engine idling, watching my mirror. The other driver's door opened. A man stepped down from the cab. He walked around to my side, and when he stepped into my side mirror's view, my bladder nearly let go. It was me. Not similar, not a look-alike. Me. Same gray hoodie with the coffee stain on the left sleeve that I'd gotten this morning. Same Caterpillar work boots, left one with the scuff mark across the toe. Same scar on the right forearm from a loading dock accident in 2019. He even moved like me, that slight hitch in the left knee from an old high school football injury. He knocked on my door. 3 raps. I'd locked it, but somehow I knew locks wouldn't matter. I rolled down the window instead. "Hey, Robert," he said, and smiled my smile, showing my slightly crooked front tooth. "What are you?" My voice came out as a whisper. "I'm you. Just from a different iteration." He leaned against my truck, casual, like we were old friends meeting for coffee. "You're caught in a loop. Mile marker 34 to mile marker 71. You've driven it 47 times now." "That's impossible. I left Oklahoma City 4 hours ago. I've been driving straight." "You think you have. Check your GPS." He nodded toward my dashboard. I looked. The GPS showed my location as mile marker 71, Interstate 40. But it also showed my route history, a thick red line of breadcrumbs showing where I'd traveled. The line made my stomach drop. It looped. Mile marker 34 to 71, back to 34, back to 71, over and over 47 times. Impossible. I'd been driving in a straight line. I'd been watching the mile markers increase. "You're lying. This is some kind of trick. Look at your fuel gauge. 3/4 full." I'd started with a full tank in Oklahoma City. After 4 hours of driving, pulling a full load, I should have been under half. No, this isn't real." "It gets worse," he said, and his expression shifted to something like pity. "I'm not the first Robert you've met. I'm the 47th. "What?" "Every loop you meet another version of yourself, the you from the previous loop. I was you 40 minutes ago. I was sitting where you are, talking to the 46th Robert, trying to understand what the fuck was happening." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a cigarette, lit it with my Zippo, the one with the eagle engraving that my daughter gave me before she died. "The 46th Robert is still here. Want to meet him?" "This is insane." "Is it? Or have you noticed something else?" He took a drag, exhaled slowly. "Your hands. Look at your hands, Robert." I looked down. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, but they looked wrong. The skin seemed thinner, more translucent. I could see the tendons moving underneath, the bones showing through, like overexposed film. "Each loop you become less solid," he said. "Less real. The Robert I talked to last time could barely hold a cigarette. His hands kept phasing through it. And the Robert before him?" He trailed off, looking toward the rest stop building. "Come on, I'll show you." I didn't want to. God, I didn't want to. But I opened my door and stepped down. My legs felt weak, insubstantial. We walked toward the building, and with each step I felt lighter, like I was made of paper. The rest stop's main entrance was locked, but the other Robert walked straight through the glass door. I stopped, staring. He turned back, beckoned. "You can do it too now. You're not solid enough to be stopped by matter anymore." I reached out tentatively. My hand went through the glass like it was water. Cold sensation, nothing more. I walked through. Inside, the rest stop was wrong. The lights were off, but a strange phosphorescent glow emanated from the walls themselves. And standing throughout the building like mannequins in a department store were dozens of men. All of them me. Some looked almost solid, standing in defensive postures, eyes wide with fear. Others were translucent, ghost-like, mouths open in silent screams. The furthest ones were barely visible, just suggestions of human shapes that flickered in and out of existence. I counted 38 before I stopped, bile rising in my throat. "This is what happens," the 47th Robert said, walking between the frozen figures. "We're not in a loop. We're in a fork, Every time you drive from mile marker 34 to 71, reality splits. You split, but you can't sustain infinite versions of yourself, so you start spreading thin. Literally. Why? I managed to choke out. Why is this happening? I don't know. The Roberts who've been here longest, the ones you can barely see, they've stopped talking. They just stand there, fading. But the 38th Robert, before he stopped responding, he said something interesting. He walked to one of the more solid figures, a Robert with wild eyes and bleeding fingernails. He said he remembered the moment it started. Mile marker 34. He said he saw something in the road. What? A woman, standing in the middle of the highway. He swerved to avoid her. The 47th Robert touched the frozen figure's shoulder, and it flickered like a bad TV signal. But here's the thing, I remember swerving, you remember swerving, every Robert in here remembers that moment. We all swerved, but what if we made different choices? I did remember. Jesus Christ, I remembered. Mile marker 34, maybe 3 hours ago, or 47 loops ago, I couldn't tell anymore. A woman in a white dress, pale face, dark hair whipping in the wind. I jerked the wheel right, felt the trailer fishtail slightly. I'd missed her by inches. What if each swerve created a split? He continued. Left, right, straight, brake, accelerate. Infinite choices, infinite Roberts. But we're all still connected, all still driving the same route, so we can see each other. We become each other's ghosts. One of the nearly invisible Roberts suddenly moved, its head turned toward us, mouth working soundlessly. Then it reached out, and its hand, barely more than a shimmer in the air, passed through the 47th Robert's chest. The 47th Robert gasped, staggered. When he looked down, I could see through his torso. Just for a moment, then he solidified again. But not completely. He was more translucent than before. They're trying to remerge, he said, voice shaking. The ones who are almost gone. They're trying to absorb us, to become more real. But it doesn't work. It just spreads us thinner. A sound echoed through the building. An engine starting. My engine. I ran, floated really back through the glass door. My truck was rolling forward, no one in the driver's seat, heading back toward the highway entrance. It wants you to loop again, the 47th Robert shouted behind me. Don't get back in, let it go. But what else could I do? That truck was my life, my livelihood. Everything I owned was in that cab. I ran after it, grabbed the door handle, pulled myself up. The seat felt different now, harder, like it couldn't quite support my weight properly. I grabbed the wheel and the truck responded, pulling onto the highway. In my mirror, I saw the 47th Robert standing in the rest stop parking lot, growing smaller. He raised his hand in a wave or a warning, I couldn't tell which. Mile marker 71, 70, 69. I was heading west now, back the way I'd come. Back toward mile marker 34. My CB crackled. Red Dog, this is Red Dog. A new voice. Or the same voice, slightly different. You shouldn't have gotten back in. I looked in my mirror. 2 trucks followed me now, both identical to mine. Mile marker 60, 55. 50, my hands were almost completely transparent. I could see the steering wheel through them. Mile marker 40, 37, 35. A woman stood in the middle of the highway. White dress, pale face, dark hair whipping in the wind. She looked up at me and her eyes were hollow. Not empty, hollow, like looking into deep wells. I had 3 choices, swerve left, swerve right, or drive straight. I realized with cold certainty that I'd already made all 3 choices. Was making them. Would always make them. Mile marker 34. The CB crackled with static and voices, dozens of them, all mine. Red Dog, this is Red Dog, this is Red Dog, this is Red Dog. I looked in my mirror. 20 trucks followed me now, 40, 100, all identical. All driven by versions of myself in various stages of fading. And ahead, approaching mile marker 71, I could see another truck on the shoulder. Red Peterbilt 579, rust spot shaped like Texas. A driver inside, watching his mirrors, about to see me appear behind him. I understood now. I would pull over, talk to him, try to explain. And he would loop, and I would fade a little more. And somewhere, scattered across infinite variations of this highway, countless Roberts were fading into nothing, still driving, still trying to understand. My hands were gone now. I could barely feel the steering wheel. The truck drove itself, following the groove worn in reality by countless previous loops. Mile marker 71 approached. I could see him now, the next Robert, just beginning to panic. I reached for the CB, but my hand passed through it. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. The rest stop appeared. My truck pulled in automatically. I watched myself step down from the cab, walk toward the next iteration, open my mouth to say the words I'd already said, would always say, hey, Robert. But I was barely there anymore. Just a whisper of consciousness, a fragment spread so thin across so many choices that I'd stopped being a person and started being a possibility. The woman in the white dress stood beside the building, watching. She'd been there the whole time, waiting at mile marker 34, waiting at mile marker 71, maybe waiting everywhere, in all the places where choices split reality into infinite fragments. She smiled at me, at what was left of me. And I realized she wasn't causing this, she was collecting. Gathering up all the pieces of people who'd made too many choices, split themselves too many ways, and lost the thread of which version was real. I couldn't scream, couldn't run, could only watch as the 48th Robert began his conversation with the 49th, both of them still believing they were the original, still believing they could escape. The last thing I felt before I stopped feeling anything was the woman's cold hand passing through what remained of my chest, pulling something out, something essential. And then I was standing in the rest stop with all the other faded Roberts, frozen, flickering, watching each new version arrive and loop and thin and fade. Sometimes I can almost remember my daughter's face, the one who gave me, the Zippo. But the memory spreads thinner with each new Robert who parks outside. Mile marker 34, mile marker 71, mile marker 34, mile marker 71, forever. Story 2. The breathing cargo. The temperature gauge on my reefer unit read 38 degrees Fahrenheit, exactly where it should be for the medical cadavers I was hauling from Portland to Salt Lake City. But the gauge was lying because I could see my breath in the cab, and frost was creeping across the inside of my windshield despite the heater blasting full. More concerning, through the bulkhead behind my seat I could hear something breathing. Deep, rhythmic breaths, in and out, in and out. 6 different patterns, overlapping. Patricia Sullivan, 53. Been hauling specialized medical cargo for 12 years. Bodies don't bother me. Hauled them in various states, fresh, preserved, partial remains for research. They're just meat and bone, nothing mystical. But meat doesn't breathe. October 31st, 2022, and I was starting to think someone had played a very unfunny Halloween prank. I'd picked up the load 7 hours ago from a medical facility outside Portland. 6 cadavers, properly documented, sealed in individual transport bags, loaded into refrigerated coffins by professional mortuary staff. The paperwork was immaculate. The facility was legitimate. I'd delivered there before. Everything was standard protocol until hour 5 when the breathing started. At first I'd convinced myself it was the refrigeration unit's compressor, some mechanical rhythm I'd never noticed before. But compressors don't change tempo, compressors don't sound wet, and compressors definitely don't sync their rhythm with each other like the breathing I was hearing now. 6 patterns that occasionally aligned into one massive inhalation, one massive exhalation that made the entire trailer shudder. I grabbed my CB. Breaker 19, this is Nightingale westbound on I-84 near Baker City. Any other haulers with reefer experience on this channel? Static, then a trucker out of Boise responded. I asked him if he'd ever heard breathing sounds from refrigeration units. He laughed, made a joke about Halloween spooks, and signed off. No help. The breathing got louder. I pulled onto the shoulder near mile marker 298. The sun had set an hour ago, and this stretch of Oregon highway was desolate, just scrub brush and darkness. I sat there, engine idling, listening. The breathing continued, absolutely clear now. 6 distinct patterns, different depths, different speeds, one shallow and rapid, one deep and slow, one that rattled like fluid in lungs. I'd driven through the night plenty of times. I'd hauled bodies before. I wasn't the type to spook easily. But something about those sounds made my skin crawl. They were too organic, too alive. I grabbed my flashlight and climbed out. The temperature had dropped to maybe 20 degrees, cold enough that my breath fogged thick in the air. I walked around to the trailer's rear doors, put my hand on the lock, hesitated. The breathing stopped. Complete silence. Not even the normal sounds of the refrigeration unit. Just dead quiet, and somehow that was worse than the breathing. I should have gotten back in the cab, should have driven straight to the nearest truck stop with other people around. Instead, I unlocked the doors and pulled them open. The interior lights flickered on automatically. 6 refrigerated coffins, arranged 3 per side, bolted to the trailer floor. Standard procedure. Everything looked normal. Then the coffin closest to me rocked slightly. Just an inch. Side to side. I stepped back. "Hello?" My voice echoed in the empty trailer. Stupid thing to say. The dead don't answer. The coffin rocked again, harder this time. Then another one moved. Then all 6 were moving, rocking back and forth in perfect synchronization, metal squealing against bolts. I slammed the doors shut, locked them, and ran back to the cab. My hands shook so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. The truck roared to life, and I pulled back onto the highway, pushing the speed to 75-80. Behind me, through the bulkhead, the breathing resumed, but different now. Faster, excited. My CB crackled. "Nightingale, Nightingale," a woman's voice, calm and professional. "This is Dr. Chen from Portland Medical Research. We need you to return immediately. The cargo was loaded in error." "What?" I grabbed the radio. "What kind of error?" "The specimens were meant for immediate cremation. They're unstable, biologically unstable. You need to turn around right now." "Unstable how? What the fuck did you put in my trailer?" "Please, Ms. Sullivan. Every minute you're on the road, they're warming up. The refrigeration unit isn't strong enough. They're waking." "Waking? They're fucking corpses. Dead people don't wake up." "These ones do. They were part of an experimental cryogenic preservation program. The preservation failed. Cellular activity didn't stop. It mutated, slowed, but didn't stop. Now they're in a state between life and death, and exposure to temperature fluctuations triggers accelerated regeneration. Incomplete regeneration. You need to..." The radio cut to static. I tried calling back. Nothing. I looked at my reefer unit gauge. The temperature had climbed to 45 degrees, but I'd set it to 38. The unit should have been pumping cold air. Instead, it was warming. Something thumped against the bulkhead behind my seat. Hard. Like a fist. Then another thump. Then dozens of them, a frantic hammering that made the entire cab vibrate. I pressed the accelerator to the floor. The speedometer climbed past 90. The highway stretched empty ahead, and in my side mirrors I could see the trailer swaying slightly from the movement inside. My phone rang. "Unknown number," I answered, putting it on speaker. "Patricia." A man's voice, weak and rasping. "Patricia, please stop the truck." "Who is this?" My name was David Chen. I'm in the 3rd coffin on the left. I can feel myself again, parts of me. It hurts. Everything hurts. Please stop. Please let me out. I almost dropped the phone. You're dead. You're supposed to be dead. I was. I think I was, but something's wrong. I can feel my heart beating, but it doesn't beat right. Too slow. And I can feel things moving inside me, growing. Patricia, my fingers are moving, but I'm not telling them to move. Something else is controlling them, something that grew in the cold. Please, you have to burn us. Burn all of us before... Screaming erupted from the phone. Not one voice. Multiple voices overlapping, shrieking in agony or rage or both. Then the line went dead. The thumping stopped. The breathing stopped. Complete silence again. I took the next exit, a small rural road that led to a truck stop I'd used before. The parking lot was half full. Other big rigs lined up, some with running lights on. People. Safety in numbers. I pulled in, parked far from the other trucks, and grabbed my phone to call 911. Before I could dial, I heard something scrape against metal. Inside the trailer. A long, drawn-out screech like fingernails on a chalkboard, but deeper. Heavier. Then the trailer's interior lights went out. I could see through my side mirror that the rear doors were still closed, still locked. But the lights were out, and through the small gap at the bottom of the doors I saw something dark seep out. Liquid, thick and viscous, pooling on the asphalt. I called 911, the operator answered, and I started babbling about my cargo, about bodies waking up, about something wrong. She tried to calm me down, said she'd send police and emergency medical services. I gave her the location and sat there, engine running, doors locked, watching that dark liquid spread. It moved wrong, not flowing downhill like normal liquid. It moved deliberately, spreading in specific patterns, forming shapes. Letters. Let us out. I turned the key, ready to leave. Fuck the trailer, fuck the cargo. I'd drive the cab away and let someone else deal with this nightmare. But the engine died. Just cut off completely. I tried again, nothing. The battery was fine. Lights still on, electronics working, but the engine wouldn't turn over. The dark liquid kept writing. Woke up in the dark, so cold, changed us, Patricia, please. The scratching inside the trailer intensified, not random anymore, coordinated. All 6 sources working together, metal shrieking as something bent and twisted. I heard the locks snap, not opened, broken, metal shearing. The doors swung open slowly. The trailer's interior was completely dark despite the parking lot lights. That darkness seemed solid, impenetrable. And from that darkness, shapes emerged. They had been human once. I could see the general structure, head, torso, limbs. But everything was wrong. The proportions were distorted, stretched. Skin had turned gray-blue and translucent, showing networks of black veins underneath. Some crawled on limbs that bent at too many joints. One walked upright, but its head lolled backward, neck extended impossibly long. Another moved in a strange sideways shuffle, ribs protruding through its chest cavity, opening and closing like gills. They were breathing, all of them. That same rhythmic pattern I'd heard for hours. The nearest one, the upright one with the broken neck, turned its head toward my cab. The head rotated a full 180 degrees without the body moving. Eyes that should have been clouded and dead were instead bright, reflective, catching the parking lot lights like an animal's. It smiled, lips pulling back too far, showing too many teeth. Then it spoke in that same rasping voice from the phone call. Thank you for the warmth, Patricia. We were so cold for so long, but your truck's heat, your engine's vibrations, your living presence so close, it fed us. Woke us. Changed us into something new. Stay back, I screamed, pressing myself against my door. We're not going to hurt you, another one said, this one crawling on all fours, joints reversed. A woman's voice, sweet and reasonable despite the horror of its appearance. We're grateful. You brought us back. Incomplete, yes. Wrong, yes, but back. aware, feeling. The third one, the one moving sideways with the gill ribs, made a sound like laughter. The doctors tried to freeze us to preserve us. Instead, they made us something else, something that can survive in the cold, something that metabolizes differently. We died, Patricia. We died and kept thinking, kept dreaming, nightmares in the freezing dark. And those nightmares changed our bodies, made us into what we feared we'd become. They moved closer, surrounding my truck. 6 figures, all horrifically malformed, all watching me with those reflective eyes. "Others will come," the first one said. "Police, investigators. They'll try to take us back, put us in freezers again. Or burn us. We can't allow that. We've been given a second chance at existence, even if this existence is pain. Constant screaming pain. But it's something. It's more than the nothing we felt before." "What do you want from me?" I whispered. "Drive us somewhere safe. Somewhere cold but not frozen. Somewhere we can hide and learn to control these new bodies, mountains, caves. We'll know it when we see it. You'll do this for us, won't you, Patricia?" The thing that was once David Chen reached up toward my door. Fingers too long, tips black and necrotic, scraped against the window. "You seem kind. And if you refuse, we'll need to consume you to gain the energy to find such a place ourselves. We're very hungry, Patricia, hungry in ways we don't fully understand yet." My hand found the door lock. My other hand grabbed the CB radio. I pressed the emergency channel. "This is Nightingale at the Flying J truck stop, exit 298 Oregon. I need immediate help. I'm being threatened." One of the creatures moved faster than anything that malformed should move. It leaped onto my hood, crouched there, staring through my windshield. Up close, I could see its skin rippling, something moving underneath, dozens of somethings writhing. "Bad choice," it hissed. The windshield cracked, not from impact. It just cracked, spiderwebs spreading from where the creature's hands pressed against the glass. Ice formed along the cracks, frost spreading impossibly fast despite the temperature being above freezing. "We can make you cold, Patricia, so cold. We learned how in the dark, how to pull heat from things, from living things. It's how we fed on your truck's warmth. But we can reverse it. We can make you like us. Would you like that? To feel what we feel." The temperature in my cab plummeted. My breath fogged. Ice formed on the inside of my windows, on my steering wheel, on my skin. I felt my blood slowing, cells hardening. "Stop," I managed through chattering teeth. I'll drive you." The cold receded instantly. The creature on my hood smiled that too wide smile. Smart. Very smart. "Oh, and Patricia, don't think about stopping at another populated area. We can smell living people now. If you stop anywhere with human prey, we'll feed. We'll consume everyone we find because we can't help ourselves. The hunger is overwhelming. So you'll drive us to the mountains, straight there, no stops, or everyone who dies will be your responsibility?" They climbed back into the trailer, those horrible, malformed things that used to be people. The doors closed. The locks didn't work anymore, so they just pulled the doors tight and held them there. My engine started. I hadn't touched the key. I drove. That was 4 months ago. I'm still driving. Not the same route anymore. They made me take them to the Rockies, to a cave system in northern Montana. They left, crawling into the darkness, thanking me with voices that gurgled and rasped. I tried to tell authorities, filed reports. They investigated the Portland facility, found nothing unusual. The 6 cadavers I'd picked up, according to records, they'd been cremated weeks before my pickup date. No such people as David Chen or the others. My company fired me for psychological instability and substance abuse. They found sedatives in my cab that I don't remember buying, but I know what I saw, what I hauled, what I unleashed. And sometimes late at night when I'm driving empty runs because no one will hire me for medical transport anymore, my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer and I hear breathing. 6 different patterns, overlapping. Then a voice. Thank you, Patricia. We're multiplying, learning. Soon we'll be ready to come down from the mountains, and when we do, we'll remember your kindness. You'll be the last one we change. I don't know what that means. Don't want to know. But I keep driving, keep moving because I'm terrified that if I stop, they'll find me. Story 3. The junction that doesn't exist. The GPS said I'd been sitting at the intersection of Highway 50 and County Road 447 for 6 hours, but my watch said 30 minutes and the sun hadn't moved at all in the sky. Still frozen in the exact same position above the horizon, casting the exact same shadows across the exact same dusty Nevada landscape. Every time I tried to drive through the intersection, my truck just appeared back where I started, facing the same direction. Odometer unchanged. Marcus Chen, 34 years old, 8 years as an independent owner-operator. January 8, 2023. I'd driven through this junction 100 times before, hauling electronics from Reno to Colorado Springs. Never had a problem, never even noticed anything unusual about it. Now I couldn't leave. The intersection looked completely normal. Standard 4-way stop, faded white lines, stop sign with bullet holes, empty desert in every direction. No buildings, no vehicles, no people, just scrub brush, Joshua trees, and endless pale dirt stretching to distant mountains. The kind of nowhere place that Nevada specializes in. I'd tried every direction. North on Highway 50 toward the mountains, south on 50 back toward Reno, east on 447, west on 447. Every time I'd drive for what felt like 30 seconds, watching my speedometer climb to 60 miles per hour, watching the odometer tick up 1/10 of a mile, 2/10. Then suddenly I'd be back at the intersection, truck facing north, odometer reset like I'd never moved. I'd gotten out and tried to walk away. Made it maybe 50 yards before the landscape started looking identical in every direction. No matter which way I turned, the intersection was directly behind me. Turn around, walk the other direction, and after 50 yards, the intersection was behind me again. Like it was the center of a sphere I couldn't escape. My phone had no signal. CB radio picked up nothing but static. The sun stayed locked in place, creating a permanent late afternoon that never progressed to evening. I just decided to sit tight and wait for another vehicle when I saw the boy. He stood at the southeast corner of the intersection, maybe 10 years old, wearing dusty jeans and a faded red t-shirt. Dark hair, tan skin, bare feet. He stared at my truck with an expression of desperate hope. I climbed down from my cab. "Hey, kid, you okay?" He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. I walked closer. "Are you lost? Do you need help?" When I got within 20 feet, he spoke. "Are you real?" "What?" "Yeah, I'm real. Are you... How long have you been here?" His voice was flat, emotionless. "About 30 minutes, maybe an hour. My watch says 30 minutes, but it feels longer." He laughed. It sounded wrong, too old for his face. "Your watch is lying. You've been here 16 hours. In another 8 hours, the sun will move, 1 second forward. Then it'll freeze again for 24 hours. That's how time works here. 24 hours for every second." "That's impossible." "Is it? You've been trying to leave. Has it worked?" "No, but I've been here 9 years, he said and smiled. It was the saddest smile I'd ever seen. "Or 22 seconds. Depends on which time you use. Outside time or junction time." My mouth went dry. "What is this place?" "It's a knot. A place where something went wrong with reality." My mom was driving through one night, November 14th, 2014, and she missed the stop sign. crashed into another car coming from the east. Both cars were destroyed. Mom and I died instantly. So did the couple in the other car. But something about the impact, the angle, the exact moment, the specific violence, it created a knot, a place where that moment couldn't fully resolve. So it just froze, and we're stuck in it. You're saying you're dead. I'm saying I died, but I didn't finish dying. I'm still in the moment of impact, stretched across years, or seconds. It's hard to explain. I backed away. This is insane. You're not dead. You're standing right there. Watch. He walked to the center of the intersection. When he reached the exact middle where the white lines crossed, his form flickered. For a fraction of a second, I saw something else. A car, crumpled metal, a woman's body draped across the steering wheel, a boy in the back seat with his neck bent wrong. Then the boy was standing there again, solid, real. That's what's really here, the crash, frozen in time, but our consciousness couldn't accept it, so we projected ourselves as if we were still alive, still walking around. After a while, the projection feels real. Where's your mother, the other couple? Mom's here. She cycles through different states. Sometimes she's the version before the crash, driving, not seeing the stop sign. Sometimes she's the impact moment, screaming. Sometimes she's after, realizing we're dead. She won't be visible for another 6 hours, junction time. The couple from the other car, they figured out how to leave. How? You have to die completely. Finish what got interrupted. They drove into each other again, perfectly recreating the crash. The junction released them. I watched them fade away. Not sure if they went to heaven or hell or just stopped existing, but they left. Why didn't you leave? Because I'm a coward, his voice cracked. And because if I leave, Mom will be alone. She doesn't understand what happened. Most of the time, she thinks we're still driving home from my soccer game. I can't leave her here alone forever. I looked around at the empty desert, the frozen sun. There has to be another way out. There is. Sometimes the junction captures new people, like you. If you stay long enough, you'll become part of the knot too. Stuck here forever, or until you finish dying. But if you take my place, if you agree to stay and keep my mom company, the junction might let me leave. It needs someone to anchor it, someone conscious to maintain the projection. That's no. No way. I'm not staying here. Then you'll stay anyway, eventually. The junction doesn't let go easily. He walked back to the corner. I've watched 17 people get caught over the years. 9 of them are still here in different parts of the loop. You'll meet them eventually. The others managed to escape, but it cost them. Pieces of memory, pieces of sanity. One guy cut off his own hand because he was convinced it was tying him to the junction. It didn't work. He bled out right there. He pointed to a dark stain on the asphalt that I hadn't noticed before. I'm leaving. I walked back to my truck, climbed in, started the engine. Good luck, the boy called out. I drove north, watched the odometer. 0.1 miles, 0.2, 0.3. The landscape scrolled past. Joshua trees, scrub brush, distant mountains getting closer. 0.5 miles. I was doing it. I was escaping. Then I was back at the intersection, truck facing north, odometer at 0. I tried again. Same result. And again. And again. After the 15th attempt, I got out and screamed at the sky. No echo. The sound just died in the air, flat and dull. It's okay, the boy said. He was sitting on my truck's front bumper now. Everyone goes through this phase. Anger, denial, bargaining. Eventually you accept it. How long do I have before I become permanent? Hard to say. Junction time is weird. Could be days, could be years. Could be centuries if you're unlucky. You'll watch the sun move second by second, watching 24 hours pass between each tiny increment. You'll lose your mind long before your body gives out. I slumped against my truck. This couldn't be happening. There had to be a logical explanation. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I'd crashed and this was a coma hallucination. "You're not dreaming," the boy said, reading my expression. "This is real. As real as anything. You want proof?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small plastic toy, a green army man. He threw it north down Highway 50. It sailed through the air, landed maybe 30 feet away. We both watched it. The toy sat there for a moment, then it blinked out of existence and reappeared in the boy's hand. "Objects can't leave either," he explained. "They reset like everything else. You could drive for what feels like hours, but you'll reset. I once tried to walk for days, junction days, not outside days. Thought maybe if I walked far enough, I'd get past whatever boundary this place has. I walked until my feet bled, until I collapsed from exhaustion. Closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was back at the intersection. Feet perfectly fine, like it never happened. So we're just prisoners, forever. Unless you take my place, or unless you find the glitch. The glitch? Every closed system has a flaw. The junction isn't perfect. I've seen moments, just fractions of a second, where things don't reset properly, where reality bleeds through, shadows that move wrong, sounds from outside. Once I heard traffic, real traffic, cars passing through this intersection like it was normal. But only for a heartbeat, then back to silence. How do I trigger it? I don't know. But the 17 people who got caught, the ones who escaped, they all did something different, something unexpected. The junction follows rules, loops, and patterns. Do something that breaks the pattern. Maybe it can't process it. Maybe it lets go. I thought about this. What kind of things? One woman drove backwards, not just reversing, but sitting in her seat facing backward, steering backward. She disappeared after 3 days. A man filled his truck with rocks from the desert until the axles broke, then set fire to it. He vanished in the flames. Another person started digging, just dug a hole at the intersection's center. Dug for weeks, junction time. Eventually the hole got deep enough that the junction couldn't track them anymore. Or maybe they dug into whatever underlies this place. Either way, gone. Did any of them ever come back? Contact you? How could they? There's no phone signal here, no communication with outside. If they made it out, they probably ran as far away as possible. I walked to my trailer, opened it. Standard load, pallets of consumer electronics, shrink-wrapped and secured. Nothing useful. Nothing that could break a cosmic knot in space-time. That's when I noticed something wrong with the electronics. The boxes had serial numbers, specific identifiers. But as I watched, the numbers flickered and changed. A laptop box showed model number L7432X, then L7432Y, then L7432Z, cycling through variations. "What the hell?" "The junction approximates things," the boy said, appearing beside me. "It captured you and your truck, so it has to maintain that. But it doesn't understand electronics or serial numbers or whatever's in those boxes. So it guesses, fills in details with variations. If you looked closely at your truck, you'd find small things changing. A scratch that moves, a gauge that reads slightly different. Nothing major, just drifting." An idea formed. What if I unload everything, take apart the truck, reduce it to pieces? Would the junction be able to track all the pieces? Maybe. Or maybe it would just reset the truck to its original state. That's what happened when the guy broke his axles. Truck kept resetting to functional. What if I take it farther? What if I destroy it completely, burn it like the other guy? You could try, but you'd be stuck here without a truck, and the junction might just trap your consciousness without a physical form. That could be worse. I climbed back into my cab, sat there thinking. The boy was right. There had to be a pattern break. Something the junction couldn't predict or reset. Then I saw her. A woman stood at the northwest corner, middle-aged Hispanic wearing jeans and a white blouse. She stared at nothing, face slack. After a moment, she walked to the center of the intersection, stopped, then walked back to the corner. Then repeated the exact same path, same pace, same movements. "That's my mom," the boy said quietly. "This is her before phase. She's driving to my soccer game in her head, making the same motions. She'll loop like that for 3 more hours, then she'll shift to the impact phase. That's harder to watch." I climbed down and approached her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" She didn't react, just kept walking her loop. "She can't hear you in this phase. She's too deep in the memory." "When she shifts to the impact phase, can she hear me then?" "Sometimes, but she's usually screaming, not really coherent." I watched her loop, walk to center, stop, walk back, again. A thought occurred to me. You said the junction needs someone to maintain it, an anchor. What if there were too many anchors? What if instead of one consciousness maintaining the projection, there were dozens? Would it overload? "What do you mean?" "You said 9 people are still here, trapped in different parts of the loop. What if we gathered them, brought them all to the intersection at once, all different times, all different states of awareness? Maybe the junction can't process that many simultaneous realities." The boy considered this. "I've never seen them all together. They exist in separate pockets of the loop. Meeting them requires shifting, moving between states." "How?" "Focus on a specific time, a specific moment. The junction is a time knot, so consciousness can slide along it if you know how. Think about a moment intensely enough and you'll shift there." "Show me." He took my hand. His skin was cold. "Think about the moment you first arrived, the first instant you realized you were stuck." I closed my eyes and remembered, pulling up to the intersection, seeing the stop sign, thinking about how many times I'd passed through here before. Looking at my GPS, seeing the time, 3:47 p.m. Reality lurched. When I opened my eyes, everything looked the same but felt different. The air was thicker, and standing at various corners of the intersection were people I hadn't seen before. An older man with a trucker's build, standing rigid, eyes unfocused. A younger woman pacing frantically, talking to herself. A couple holding hands, both staring at the asphalt. All of them trapped in their own loops. "They're all here," the boy said. "All 9. Plus you makes 10. This is the substrate moment, the foundation the junction built on. Everyone comes through here eventually, but usually at different times. Having everyone here simultaneously is new." The air began to shimmer. Reality felt unstable, like heat waves on asphalt. The frozen sun flickered. "It's working," I said. "The junction can't maintain this many separate consciousnesses at once." Then the boy's mother appeared at the intersection center, but not walking. She was in a car, visible for just a moment, a blue sedan, her hands on the wheel. And approaching from the east, another car. The couple I'd seen holding hands were inside it, visible through the windshield, expressions of horror. "No," the boy whispered. "This is the impact moment. If we're all here when it replays..." The cars collided. The sound was impossibly loud, metal crunching, glass exploding. But it happened in slow motion, stretched across seconds that felt like hours. I watched the boy's mother's car crumple, watched her body lurch forward, watched the boy in the back seat, younger, solid, alive, snap forward against his seatbelt. And I felt it, the impact, like it was happening to me. Pain exploded through my chest, my neck. I was simultaneously in my body and in the car, experiencing the crash from multiple perspectives at once. All 9 trapped people screamed. We all felt it together. The junction was trying to process 10 separate consciousnesses experiencing the same traumatic moment, and it was tearing itself apart. Reality fractured. I saw the intersection split into multiple overlapping versions. One where the crash happened. One where the boy's mother saw the stop sign and stopped. One where the other car swerved and missed. One where both cars passed through safely. Dozens of alternate outcomes all trying to exist simultaneously. The frozen sun moved, not 1 second. It jumped, lurched, time accelerating and decelerating randomly. Day became night, became day again in stuttering flashes. "The junction is collapsing," the boy shouted. "You need to choose." Choose what? Which reality you want. Pick one and focus on it. The junction can't hold all these possibilities together. I looked at the overlapping realities. In one, I was still sitting in my truck at the intersection, free to leave. In another, I was part of the crash, dying with them. In another, the intersection didn't exist at all, just empty desert. I focused on the reality where I was, free. Held that image in my mind with every ounce of will. I saw myself driving north, leaving the intersection behind, watching it fade in my rearview mirror. The other realities began to collapse, falling away. The crash faded. The alternate versions disappeared. I felt myself solidifying, becoming singular again. The boy and his mother faded too, transparency increasing. "Thank you," he said, voice distant. "You broke it. The junction can't maintain itself anymore. We can finally finish dying." Wait, but they were gone. All of them. The 9 trapped people, the boy, his mother, the couple. The intersection was empty. The sun moved normally, real time. I looked at my watch. 3:52 p.m., 5 minutes since I'd arrived. I ran to my truck, started it, drove north. The odometer climbed. 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, 1.0. I was leaving. Actually leaving. I drove for 3 hours straight before I felt safe enough to stop. That was 2 years ago. I still drive freight, but I've never taken Highway 50 through that area again. I go hundreds of miles out of my way to avoid it. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm on empty stretches of highway, I see them, standing at intersections, the boy, his mother, the other 9. Just for a second, just long enough for me to recognize them. And the boy always smiles and waves. I don't know if they're really there or if the junction left something in my head. Some fragment of that place. Some connection to the moment I helped collapse. But I wave back, because I'm terrified that if I don't, I'll end up back there. Stuck at the intersection that doesn't exist, watching the sun freeze in place. Forever. Story 4. The voice in the static. My CB radio started saying my daughter's name 3 days after her funeral, and I know for certain she'd never used a CB in her life because she died at age 6 in a drowning accident while I was hauling frozen goods through Montana and couldn't get home fast enough to say goodbye. The voice came through Channel 19 at exactly 2:47 a.m. every night, always the same. "Daddy, Daddy, it's so dark here. Why did you leave me alone?" Jennifer Hayes, 48 years old, 22 years as a long-haul trucker. December 3rd, 2022, and I was losing my mind one transmission at a time. The funeral had been small. My ex-wife blamed me for not being there. Said if I'd been a real father instead of always on the road, maybe I would have noticed Emma wandering toward the lake behind their house. Maybe I could have stopped it. She was right. I knew she was right. The guilt was eating me alive even before my daughter's voice started broadcasting from beyond the grave. The first time I heard it, I was eastbound on I-90 near Billings. Late night run, no traffic, just darkness and the hypnotic rhythm of road reflectors passing. The CB had been silent for hours. Most truckers don't use them much anymore. Everyone's on their phones or satellite communicators. Then static crackled and her voice came through clear as daylight. "Daddy?" I nearly drove off the road. Jerked the wheel, corrected, pulled onto the shoulder with my heart hammering. Grabbed the radio. "Emma? Emma, is that you?" Static. Then, It's dark here, Daddy. I can't find the light. Why did you leave me? Baby, I didn't leave you. I tried to come home. I drove as fast as I could. You're always driving, always leaving. Now I'm alone in the dark and I can't find Mommy and I'm scared. Tears were streaming down my face. Emma, where are you? Tell me where you are. I don't know. It's dark and cold and there are things here, Daddy, things that whisper. They say you're coming. They say everyone comes here eventually. Who? Who's saying that? Static, then nothing. I sat there for 2 hours calling her name into the CB, begging her to respond. Silence. I convinced myself it was grief, auditory hallucination, my mind creating what it desperately wanted to hear. I'd read about that. People in extreme emotional distress hearing voices of lost loved ones. Perfectly normal psychological response. I took a sleeping pill and forced myself to rest. The next night, 2:47 a.m. exactly, it happened again. Same channel, same voice, but different words. Daddy, I'm sinking. The water's pulling me down. Why didn't you save me? This time I was ready. I'd bought a voice recorder, set it up by the CB. I grabbed the radio. Emma, listen to me. You're not in the water anymore. You're safe. You're safe? I'm drowning, Daddy. I'm drowning forever. Every breath is water. Every scream fills my lungs. It never stops. Why didn't you come home? I did. I came home as soon as I heard. Emma, please. Too late, too late. The things in the dark say you'll understand soon. They say everyone drowns eventually, different water, same ending. What things? Emma, what's there with you? I can't see them, but I hear them breathing, wet breathing. Like they're underwater, too. They touch me sometimes, cold hands. They say they used to call for their daddies, too. Before they forgot how to talk. The transmission cut off. I listened to the recording. Her voice was there, unmistakable. My 6-year-old daughter's voice, with that slight lisp she had from her loose front tooth. I started researching. Spent every rest stop, every meal break, searching online for explanations. CB radio anomalies, number stations, psychological phenomena. I found nothing that fit. CB radios don't work like that. They're line-of-sight transmission. Maximum range maybe 30 miles under perfect conditions. Even if someone was pranking me, they'd need to know my location, my frequency, and have recording equipment sophisticated enough to fake a child's voice perfectly. Third night, 2:47 a.m., I was waiting. Daddy, they want me to show you something. Who does, baby? Who's there? The drowned ones. The ones who went into the dark water and never came out. They remember being alive. They remember calling for help. No one came for them either. Emma, I don't understand. They want you to see what you're driving toward. The thing that's waiting. The thing that waits for everyone. The CB emitted a sound I'd never heard before. A low pulsing tone that made my teeth ache. Then images started appearing in my mind, not on a screen, not like hallucinations, like memories, but they weren't mine. I saw water, dark, murky water stretching endlessly. And beneath the surface, faces, dozens of them, hundreds, people suspended in the depths, eyes open, mouths moving soundlessly. Children, adults, elderly, all drowning in slow motion, perpetually dying but never dead. This is where everyone goes, Emma's voice said, but it sounded different now. Layered, like multiple voices speaking in unison. The dark water, it has many names, many shapes, but it's always water, always drowning. You're driving toward it, Daddy. Every mile brings you closer. The images intensified. I saw myself in the water, sinking, lungs burning. Saw my truck submerged, cabin filling slowly. Saw my hands clawing at the door, unable to open it. Saw Emma floating beside me, that terrible lisp voice saying, "See, now you understand. Now we can drown together." The vision released me. I gasped. realized I'd stopped breathing. My truck had drifted across the lane. Thank God there was no traffic. I corrected, pulled over, sat there shaking. This wasn't grief. This was something else, something impossible. I called my ex-wife. 3 a.m. her time. She answered on the fifth ring, groggy and angry. Jennifer, has anyone been trying to contact you? What? No. Jesus Christ, it's 3 in the morning. Have you been drinking? No, listen, have you heard her voice? On the phone or radio or... Stop, just stop. Her voice broke. Our daughter is dead, she's gone. And you calling me at 3 a.m. asking insane questions. You need help, Jennifer, professional help. She hung up. I sat there staring at the CB radio. It crackled with ambient static. Then faint but distinct. Laughter, child's laughter, but wrong. Too deep, too wet. Fourth night I tried to avoid it. Pulled into a truck stop at 2:30 a.m. Surrounded myself with other people. Went into the diner, ordered coffee, sat at the counter with truckers and night shift workers. Safe, normal. At 2:47 a.m., every radio in the truck stop switched to the same station. CB radios, AM/FM radios, someone's portable speaker, all of them simultaneously. Daddy, everyone heard it. Conversations stopped. People looked around, confused. Daddy, why are you hiding? The drowned ones are getting impatient. They want to meet you. A trucker near me grabbed his CB. Who is this? What frequency are you on? All of them, Emma's voice responded. I'm on all of them now, because Daddy needs to listen. Daddy needs to understand. This is some kind of sick prank, the trucker started. James Rodriguez, Emma's voice said, and the trucker went pale. You lost your son 8 years ago. Car accident, you were driving. You survived. He didn't. You hear him too, don't you? Late at night, calling from the dark water. The trucker, James, stood up, knocking over his coffee. How do you know that? Who the fuck are you? We all know. Everyone in the dark water knows. We share the memories of drowning. Different waters, same end. Your son is here, James. He wants to know why you lived and he died. James ran. Just bolted out of the diner. The other people in the truck stop were backing away from the radios, from me. I stood up. I'm sorry, I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Daddy, Emma's voice said through every speaker. Just come to the water. You're almost there anyway. 237 miles to Lake Superior. That's where your route ends, right? That's where the dark water wants to meet you. I'm not going to Superior. I'm changing my route. No, you're not. You'll try. But the roads will take you there anyway. Because you're already drowning, Daddy. You've been drowning since the moment you heard I died. Since the moment you realized you chose your truck over your daughter. The dark water is just making it literal. Every radio shut off simultaneously. I left money on the counter and walked out, got in my truck, pulled up my GPS to plot a new route, south, anywhere but Lake Superior. The GPS wouldn't respond, frozen on one screen, a map showing my current location and a route to Superior. 237 miles. I tried to override it. Error message, destination locked. I turned off the GPS, used paper maps, plotted a route to Chicago well south of Superior. I started driving, followed the signs for I-90 West away from Superior. But something was wrong with the signs. Every exit, every mile marker felt off. After an hour, I checked my position using landmarks and my truck's odometer. I was heading north, toward Superior. But I'd been following westbound signs. I'd watched them. I-90 West, clear as day. I turned around, started driving south. 30 minutes later, I checked my position again, still heading north. The roads were changing, or my perception was. I couldn't tell which. Every time I thought I was driving away from Superior, I ended up closer. Fifth night, 2:47 a.m., I was 70 miles from Lake Superior. I hadn't slept properly in days, wasn't sure what was real anymore. Almost home, Daddy. Emma, please. Whatever this is, whatever's doing this, make it stop. I'll do anything. You can't stop drowning once you're in the water. You can only accept it. The drowned ones told me that. They've been drowning for so long they can't remember being dry. They want company, Daddy. They want everyone to understand how lonely it is. Why? Why are they doing this? Because drowning is contagious. Because once you've drowned, really drowned, you can't stand the thought of anyone else breathing. The air becomes offensive. The idea of someone alive and dry and safe, it's unbearable. So we reach out. We call. We pull people into the dark water. We? Emma, are you one of them? Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then, I don't remember being your daughter anymore. I remember drowning. That's all. The lake, the water filling my lungs, the panic, the darkness, and then voices in the dark. Other drowned children. They taught me how to reach through the water, how to call, how to pull. No, Emma, you're my daughter. I'm the drowned thing that used to be your daughter. And I'm so lonely, Daddy, so lonely in the dark. Come to the lake. Come drown with me. Then we'll be together forever. I'm not going to the lake. Yes, you are. You're 70 miles away. And even if you turn around, even if you drive 1,000 miles south, you'll end up at water eventually. Because the dark water is everywhere. It's underneath everything. It's in the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, the rain. You can't escape it. No one can. I drove. What else could I do? I couldn't go home. Superior was between me and home. Couldn't stay still. Could only drive and hope I'd find some way out of this nightmare. Sixth night, 20 miles from Lake Superior, I met another trucker at a rest stop. Older guy, early 60s, hauling timber. We got to talking. I didn't mention Emma or the voices or any of it. Just needed normal human conversation. At 2:47 a.m., his CB radio activated. Hello, David, Emma's voice said. You drowned too, didn't you? 73 years ago, you were 4 years old. Your mother was distracted. You fell into the well. No one heard you calling. The old trucker, David, stared at his radio with an expression of absolute horror. You've been driving ever since, Emma continued. Staying on the road, staying in motion, because if you stop, you remember. You remember the well, the darkness, the cold water slowly rising, the hours of screaming before you went under. David stood up slowly, walked to his truck, came back with a jerry can of gasoline. What are you doing? I asked. I've been running for 70 years, he said, voice hollow. Thought if I kept moving it couldn't catch up. But she's right. It's been with me the whole time. I've been drowning all along. He poured gasoline on himself. David, no, don't. The thing that lived through drowning isn't me. Just animated water in the shape of a man. Time to return to the lake. He lit a match. I tried to stop him. Too late. He went up in flames, and as he burned, he screamed, not in pain, but relief, like he'd been waiting decades for permission to stop. I ran. Seventh night, 5 miles from Lake Superior, I pulled into a motel, barricaded myself in a room, unplugged everything electronic. Sat in silence, waiting for 2:47 a.m. It came anyway. Not through a radio, through the pipes. Water gurgling in the bathroom sink, forming words. You can't hide from water, Daddy. It's in the walls, in your body. 70% water, human beings. You're already part of the dark lake. Have been your whole life. I heard movement in the bathroom. The sink was overflowing, water pouring onto the floor. But the water moved wrong. It flowed upward against gravity, forming shapes, hands, faces. I ran out of the motel, got in my truck, drove straight north, toward Superior. Because what choice did I have? The water was everywhere, behind me, around me, inside me. I reached the lake at dawn on the 8th day. It looked normal, just a massive body of water, gray and cold under an overcast sky. I parked at a public beach, empty this time of year. Walked down to the shore. "I'm here," I said to the water. "Emma, I'm here." The water rippled. A figure rose from it. My daughter's shape made of lake water, translucent and shifting. Eyes that weren't eyes. Mouth that wasn't a mouth. "Daddy," it said with Emma's voice. "You came. What do you want from me?" "To drown, like I drowned, so we can be together. And if I refuse? You've been drowning for 8 days. You just haven't admitted it yet. The dark water is already in your lungs. You're just still pretending to breathe." I looked down at my hands. They were wet, dripping, but I hadn't touched the water. "Everyone drowns eventually," the Emma thing said. "Some in lakes, some in grief, some in guilt. You've been drowning in guilt since the moment you heard I died. The dark water just gave it form." I thought about David, about the relief in his screams as he burned. I thought about the past 8 days of impossible roads and phantom voices. I thought about my daughter, my real daughter, who loved swimming and laughter and had her whole life ahead of her until I chose one more delivery over one more day at home. I walked into the water, cold, shockingly cold. But the Emma thing was right. It felt familiar, like I'd been here before, like I'd never left. I waded in up to my waist. The water Emma reached out, touched my face with fingers that felt like drowning. "Now you understand," she said. And I did. The dark water wasn't a place. It was a state, a condition, the weight of unbearable loss made physical. And once you sank into it, you'd pull others down with you because drowning alone was too terrible to bear. I walked deeper, chest deep, neck deep. Then I stopped. "No," I said. "Daddy, you're not Emma. Emma would never want this. Emma forgave me for everything, always. She didn't drown, she died. There's a difference. Death is final. This," I gestured at the water thing. "This is something else, something that uses grief as bait." The water Emma's form rippled, distorted. "You can't leave. You're already in the water." "Then I'll swim, I'll fight. I won't let you turn my grief into this drowning trap for other people." I turned and waded back toward shore. The water resisted, pulling at my legs. Voices erupted from the depths. David's voice, other voices I didn't recognize, all of them screaming for me to come back, to sink with them, to drown together. I fought, pushed through the resistance, reached the shore and collapsed on the sand, gasping. Behind me, the water churned violently. The Emma thing screamed, not with my daughter's voice anymore, but with something ancient and furious. Then it sank beneath the surface. The lake became calm. I lay there for a long time. Eventually, I got up, got in my truck, and drove. That was 11 months ago. I still hear her voice sometimes. 2:47 a.m. like clockwork. But it's distant now, like a radio station I'm driving away from, signal getting weaker. "Daddy," she calls, "come back to the water." I never do. But every time I pass a lake, a river, even a puddle after rain, I see faces beneath the surface. People who couldn't fight their way back to shore. People who let their grief drown them. And I wonder how long I can keep driving before the dark water finds another way to pull me under. Story 5. The passenger who was always there. I picked up the hitchhiker at mile marker 132 on Route 287 in Wyoming, except when I checked my logbook 3 hours later, I'd written down that I picked him up at mile marker 89 in Colorado. And when I checked the dashcam footage, he was already in the passenger seat before I even stopped the truck, sitting there grinning, waiting for me to notice him. Thomas Whitmore, 59 years old. 33 years driving long haul. February 19th, 2023. and I was absolutely certain I'd never seen this man before in my life. Except my phone's photo gallery had 17 pictures of him and me together spanning the last 8 years. The hitchhiker was unremarkable. Mid-40s, average height, brown hair going gray, wearing jeans and a faded denim jacket. The kind of face you'd forget 5 minutes after seeing it. He smiled when I looked over at him, a friendly, familiar smile. "Thanks for the ride, Tom," he said. "I didn't offer you a ride." "Sure you did, back at mile marker 132. Said you were heading to Denver and could use the company. We've been talking for 20 minutes. No. I've been driving alone. I haven't stopped." He laughed. "Memory going? That's what happens when you've been on the road too long. Gets hard to remember what's real and what's just highway hypnosis." I checked my mirrors. The highway stretched empty behind me. I hadn't stopped. I was certain I hadn't stopped. But there he sat, wearing a seatbelt, coffee cup in the holder that I didn't remember pouring, looking completely at home. "Who are you?" I demanded. "I'm Gary, your friend. We've known each other for years, don't you remember? We met at that truck stop in Nevada, the one with the good pie. You helped me fix my alternator. We've been running into each other ever since." "I've never met you." "Sure you have. Check your phone. We've got pictures." I pulled over, grabbed my phone, opened the photo gallery, and there they were, photos of me and this man, us standing in front of my truck, us at a diner, us at the Grand Canyon. In one photo, he had his arm around my shoulders. We looked like old friends. I had no memory of taking any of these photos. "What the fuck is this?" My hands were shaking. "Memories, Tom. Our memories. You're just having a bad day. Stress, probably. You've been running yourself ragged lately. That Denver deadline, the divorce, money troubles. It's a lot. I get it. I'm not divorced. I've never been married." Gary pulled down the sun visor. A photo was tucked into the elastic band. Me and a woman I'd never seen before, both of us smiling, her wearing a wedding dress. "That's Linda," Gary said gently. "Your ex-wife. You two split up 3 years ago. It was rough. I was there for you, remember? We got drunk at that bar in Utah, and you told me you wished you'd fought harder to make it work." "Stop. This isn't real. None of this is real." "What's real then? The version where you're alone, where you've been driving solo for 33 years with no friends, no relationships, nothing but the road." "That sounds lonelier than the truth, Tom. Maybe you're just forgetting the good parts. Maybe you only remember the emptiness." I stared at him. He looked genuinely concerned, genuinely caring. Like a real friend worried about my mental health. I restarted the truck, pulled back onto the highway. "Get out at the next stop." "Sure, if that's what you want, but Tom, check your logbook, just check it." I grabbed the logbook from the side compartment, flipped to today's entry. In my handwriting, picked up Gary at mile marker 89. Good to see him again, needed the company, my handwriting, my pen. But I didn't remember writing it. "This is some kind of trick," I said. "You're drugging me. Or this is a breakdown, a stroke, something medical." "Or maybe you're finally remembering," Gary said softly. "Maybe you've been alone so long you convinced yourself that's all there is, built a false narrative where you have no one. But I'm here, Tom. I've always been here. Just like Linda was there, just like your daughter." "I don't have a daughter." "Emma is waiting for you in Denver. That's why you're rushing. She's graduating college. You promised you'd make it this time." "Emma." That name hit me like a punch. I did have a daughter named Emma, didn't I? No, that was a trucker I'd met once. Different Emma, except I could suddenly remember a little girl. Dark hair. My eyes. Calling me Daddy. "Stop it," I whispered. "Stop putting things in my head." "I'm not putting anything there. I'm helping you remember what's already there. You've been dissociating, Tom, for years." blocking out the people in your life because it's easier than dealing with the pain. But we're real. I'm real. I drove faster, pushed the truck to 80 miles per hour. Gary sat calmly, sipping coffee that shouldn't exist. After an hour, I worked up the courage to look at more photos on my phone. There were hundreds I didn't recognize. Me at a wedding, me holding a newborn baby, me at birthday parties, Christmas dinners, family gatherings, all with people I'd never met. Or had I? The more I looked, the more familiar they seemed. The woman in the wedding dress, Linda. I could almost remember her laugh. The little girl, Emma. I could almost remember teaching her to ride a bike. "You're erasing yourself," Gary said. "Every year you drive more and spend less time with people. And your mind compensates. It removes the memories of what you've lost. Tells you that you were always alone so you don't have to feel the guilt. But I won't let you erase me, Tom. I'm your friend. I'm fighting to stay in your memory. If you're my friend, tell me something only a friend would know. You have a scar on your left shoulder blade, keloid scar from a burn when you were 12. You pulled a pot of boiling water off the stove and it splashed backward. Your mother cried for hours. You've never told anyone that story. I did have that scar, and I'd never told anyone. You're afraid of tornadoes," Gary continued. "Not just cautious, afraid. Panic attacks if you see the wall clouds forming, ever since you saw one as a kid in Kansas. Your father drove straight toward it because he didn't believe the warnings. You screamed and screamed, but he wouldn't turn around. You haven't trusted anyone's driving since." True, all true. You talk in your sleep. You say "I'm sorry" over and over. You've been saying it for years. I heard you once at a truck stop when we shared a parking spot. You were apologizing to everyone you've left behind. My hands tightened on the wheel. How did he know these things? How could he know unless he was real? Unless he'd been there? Unless I was the one who was wrong? "I need to think," I said. "Take your time. We've got 6 more hours to Denver." I drove in silence. Gary occasionally made comments about the scenery, the weather, casual observations, the kind of thing a passenger would say. And slowly, treacherously, it felt normal, felt right, having someone there, having company. By the time we reached the Colorado border, I'd halfway convinced myself that Gary was real. That I'd somehow blocked out memories of friendship because my isolation had become so complete that it was easier than remembering what I'd lost. Then we passed a rest stop. I glanced in my mirror and saw someone standing by the entrance, a woman. She looked familiar. "That's Linda," Gary said. "Pull over. She wants to talk to you." "What? Why would she be here?" "She never stopped caring, Tom. She's been following your roots, trying to find you, trying to break through the wall you've built. Pull over." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Too eager, too insistent. "No," I said. "Tom, please. She's your wife. She loves you." "She's not my wife. I've never been married." "You have. Look at the photo." I glanced at the sun visor. The wedding photo was still there. But something was different. The woman's face was slightly wrong. Eyes too far apart, smile too wide. "What are you?" I asked quietly. Gary's expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes shifted. "I'm your friend." "No. Friends don't rewrite your history. Friends don't show up without explanation. Everyone shows up without explanation. You meet people. They become part of your life. That's normal. Then explain the dash cam. You were already in the seat before I stopped. Dash cam malfunctioned. Timestamps were wrong. Explain how you know about my scar, my nightmares. Because I'm your friend, and friends know these things." "No." I pulled over again, this time onto the shoulder. "Get out." "I can't." "What?" "I can't get out, Tom. Because I'm not hitchhiking, I'm not a passenger, I'm something else. Something that lives in the gaps, in the forgotten spaces, and you've got a lot of forgotten spaces. His form flickered. For just a moment he wasn't solid, just an outline, a suggestion of a person. Every year you drive and drive, he continued, voice changing, layering, like multiple people speaking slightly out of sync. Every year you forget a little more, names, faces, events. You erase your own history to make the loneliness easier. And when you erase things, they have to go somewhere. I'm where they go. That doesn't make sense, doesn't it? You forget people and I become them. You forget events and I live them. I'm the repository of everything you've lost, all the relationships you failed at, all the moments you missed, all the connections you severed. I'm your discarded life, Tom. And I'm getting crowded in here. He gestured at the passenger seat, but suddenly I saw others there too. Transparent, overlapping. Dozens of people. The woman from the photo, Linda. A little girl, Emma. An older couple who might have been parents. Friends, lovers, children, all of them crammed into one space, all flickering in and out of existence. You can't keep erasing us, Gary said, and now his voice was all their voices. We need to exist somewhere. If not in your memory, then here. In your truck, in your life. We'll ride with you forever, Tom, getting more solid, more real, until you can't tell the difference between what you've lost and what you never had. I scrambled out of the cab, ran around to the passenger side, threw open the door. The seat was empty, but I could still hear their voices, dozens of them whispering from the air itself. We're here, Tom. We've always been here. You can't drive fast enough to escape us. We are the people you forgot. We are every goodbye you didn't say. We are the life you erased. I slammed the door shut, got back in the driver's side. The seat was empty, stayed empty, but the whispers continued. And in my rearview mirror I saw them. Dozens of transparent figures filling my trailer, standing, sitting, watching me, all of them wearing faces I almost recognized. I drove. What else could I do? By the time I reached Denver, the cab was full again. Gary in the passenger seat. Others pressed into the space behind him, overlapping, flickering. A crowd of forgotten people riding along. We're here for Emma's graduation, Gary said pleasantly. You made it just in time. There is no Emma. Then why are we at the university? He pointed. I'd pulled into the parking lot of the University of Colorado, Denver. I didn't remember taking the exit. Didn't remember navigating to this address. In the distance, I saw graduates in caps and gowns, families celebrating. There, Gary said, that's her, your daughter. A young woman stood near the entrance, dark hair, my eyes. She looked up and our eyes met, and for one terrible moment I remembered. I remembered holding her as a baby, teaching her to drive, fighting with Linda about college tuition. I remembered loving her so much it hurt. Then the memory dissolved like smoke. She's not real, I said. She's as real as you let her be. That's how it works, Tom. The more you drive, the more you forget. The more you forget, the more we grow. Eventually, we'll be all that's left. Your entire life will be us. And you'll be a passenger in your own existence, driving on autopilot while we live the life you erased. I closed my eyes, opened them. The parking lot was empty. No graduates, no university. Just an abandoned building with broken windows. Almost, Gary whispered. You almost believed. You're so close to forgetting completely. Maybe next time. I drove out of Denver without stopping. For weeks afterward, I kept checking the passenger seat, sometimes empty, sometimes full. Gary came and went, so did the others. They'd appear during long, empty stretches of highway. Disappear when I pulled into truck stops with other people around. They were strongest when I was most alone. I started documenting everything, writing detailed logs of every day. every person I met, every place I went, trying to anchor my memory, trying to stop the erasure. But sometimes I'd look at my logs and not recognize my own handwriting, or I'd read about events I didn't remember. Was I losing time? Or was I finally remembering what I'd lost? I don't know anymore. Last week I pulled into a truck stop and saw my reflection in the side mirror. For just a moment I looked transparent, flickering, like Gary, like all the forgotten people riding in my trailer. I'm starting to think I'm not the driver anymore. I'm starting to think I'm one of them, a forgotten version of myself, a Thomas Whitmore who got erased somewhere along the endless highway. And the real Thomas, if there is one, is somewhere else, in another truck, with another passenger who claims to be his friend. Gary sits beside me now as I drive, permanent fixture. He doesn't flicker anymore. He's solid, real. Almost there, he says. Almost ready. For what? For the final erasure. The one where you forget you were ever you. Where you become just another forgotten passenger and someone else will drive. Someone else will sit where you're sitting, and you'll be in the trailer with the rest of us, whispering, watching, waiting for them to forget too. I look in the rearview mirror. The trailer is packed with transparent people now. Standing room only. All of them watching me. All of them wearing my face. Different ages, different years. Different versions of Thomas Whitmore, all erased, all collected in this moving prison of forgotten lives. How many of me are there? I whisper. 33, Gary says. One for every year you've been driving. You forget yourself every year, Tom. Erase who you were and start fresh. But the old yous have to go somewhere. They're all here, all still aware, all still remembering what it was like to be the driver. I want to stop. I want to get out. You can't. None of us can. This truck doesn't stop anymore. It just drives eternally, picking up hitchhikers who were always there, forgetting the past, becoming another passenger in the collection. He puts his hand on my shoulder. It feels solid, real. But don't worry, Tom. In a few more miles, you won't remember being scared. You'll forget this conversation. You'll forget the passengers. You'll wake up tomorrow thinking you've been driving alone for 34 years, and a new you will sit where you're sitting. And you'll join us in the back. No, I say, but my voice sounds distant, uncertain. Yes, says Gary. That's how it's always been, that's how it always will be, the eternal truck, the forgotten driver, the passengers who were always there. I try to remember my name. It takes longer than it should. Story 6. The Rest Stop That Eats Days. I entered the rest stop bathroom at 11:34 p.m. on a Tuesday, took a piss that lasted maybe 90 seconds, and when I came out, my truck's inspection sticker had expired, my beard had grown 3 inches, and my daughter left 14 voicemails asking why I hadn't called her for her birthday 2 months ago. Sophia Martinez, 37 years old. 6 years hauling automotive parts across the Southwest. May 2nd, 2023, except according to every calendar I could find, it was July 15th, and I'd lost 74 days somewhere between walking into that bathroom and walking out. The rest stop was one of those unremarkable state-run facilities on I-40 in eastern New Mexico. Single-story brick building, vending machines, tourist information kiosk with faded brochures, men's and women's restrooms. I'd stopped there dozens of times over the years. Never noticed anything unusual. This time something was off the moment I stepped inside. The fluorescent lights hummed at a frequency that made my molars ache. The air smelled like ammonia and something else. Something organic and wrong, like meat left too long in the sun. The bathroom was empty. 3 stalls, 2 urinals, 1 sink with a cracked mirror. I used the middle stall. Quick, efficient, washed my hands, checked my reflection. Short hair, 5 o'clock shadow, tired eyes, completely normal. Pushed through the door back into the main building, and everything was different. The tourist kiosk's brochures were sun-faded to illegibility. The vending machines were empty, unplugged, glass cracked. Dust covered everything. The fluorescent lights still hummed, but dimmer now, flickering. I walked outside into daylight. Bright afternoon sun completely wrong. It had been nearly midnight. I checked my watch, 11:36 p.m. 2 minutes since I'd entered. But my truck looked wrong. The paint was more faded, the tires were more worn, and the inspection sticker on my windshield showed an expiration date 3 months past. My phone buzzed. 14 missed calls, 23 text messages, all from my daughter, Claudia. The most recent, "Mom, I don't understand why you're ignoring me. If you didn't want to come to my birthday, you could have just said so. I thought we were past this." I called her immediately. She answered on the first ring. "Mom? Oh my God, Mom, where have you been? I've been terrified. You haven't answered your phone in weeks. Your company said you went missing. The police were looking." "Claudia, slow down. What are you talking about? I stopped at a rest. Stop. I've been here for 2 minutes. 2 minutes? Mom, I haven't heard from you since April. It's July 15th. You missed my birthday. You missed Father's Day, which I know you usually call me for. You missed our video chat every single Sunday. I thought something happened to you." "That's impossible. It's May the 2nd. I stopped for a bathroom break at 11:30 at night." Silence. Then carefully. "Mom, are you feeling okay? Have you been sleeping? The company said you were really behind on deliveries. They said you missed 3 pickup deadlines." I looked at my truck's cargo. Same load I'd picked up yesterday. Automotive parts from Albuquerque to Memphis. The delivery deadline on my paperwork said April 28th, over 2 months ago. "I need to call you back," I said. "Mom, no, don't hang up. I'm coming to get you. Where are you?" "I'm fine. I need to figure something out." I hung up, stared at my phone. The date stamp was clear, July 15th, 2023, 2:47 p.m. But I'd walked into that bathroom 2 minutes ago, Tuesday night, May 2nd. I walked back toward the rest stop building. Maybe there was a staff member, someone who could explain this. The front door was locked. Through the window, I could see the interior, abandoned, dust-covered, lights flickering. A sign on the door, "Facility closed for renovation, reopening date TBA." But the lights were on. The building was clearly being used. I'd just been inside. I pulled on the door, locked solid. I walked around to the bathroom entrance, a separate door on the side of the building. It was propped open with a concrete block, exactly how it had been when I'd entered. I looked inside. The hallway was dark. The humming lights were off, but I could see the bathroom door at the end of the hall slightly ajar. Every instinct told me not to go back in, but I needed answers. I walked down the hallway, pushed open the bathroom door. The bathroom looked normal, 3 stalls, 2 urinals, 1 sink. But the mirror was different, cracked in more places, and the crack patterns formed words. "Turn back." I stepped closer. The cracks shifted, letters rearranging. Different speeds. "Hello?" My voice echoed wrong, too flat, like the room was absorbing sound. The stall doors all swung open simultaneously. Empty, except the middle one, the one I'd used. Something was written on the inside of the door in dark brown substance that looked disturbingly like dried blood. "You were here for 74 days. Felt like 2 minutes. Others were here longer." Below that, a list of names and durations. Robert H., 3 years, Patricia S., 6 months. Marcus C. to 1 year, Jennifer H., 9 years, Thomas W., 33 years, Sophia M., 74 days, my name, my duration. But I hadn't written it. I stumbled backward out of the stall. The sink's faucet turned on by itself, water running. I looked in the mirror. My reflection was wrong. Older. My hair was streaked with gray. That hadn't been there 2 minutes, 74 days ago. Fine lines around my eyes. My beard wasn't growing. It had grown. Months of growth compressed into what felt like 90 seconds. The mirror's cracks shifted again. Time moves different here. Bathroom is outside, outside is inside. You spent 74 days in this room, you just didn't notice. How? I whispered. Relativity, space is bent. Hours become minutes, days become seconds. Your body aged. Your truck aged. World aged. But you were moving so slow you didn't feel it. Why? No reason. Quantum accident. Pocket of broken space-time. Happens sometimes. You were unlucky. The water from the faucet turned dark, red-brown. Blood or rust, I couldn't tell. It spelled words on the white porcelain. Others still here. Trapped in different speeds. Decades in seconds. Centuries in minutes. Still alive. Still aware. Can't escape. I heard breathing, not from one direction, from everywhere. Dozens of people all inhaling and exhaling at different rates. Some fast like hyperventilating, some slow. One breath every 30 seconds. I ran out of the bathroom, down the hallway, into the main building. It was different now. Not abandoned, occupied, by people. But they moved wrong. One man stood by the vending machine reaching for it, but his movement was glacially slow. His hand had moved maybe an inch in the time I watched. I could see dust settling on him, see stubble growing on his face in real time. A woman sat on a bench, head in her hands, moving at normal speed, but she was transparent, flickering in and out of existence like a bad hologram. A teenager ran past me and fast-forward, covering the length of the building in a blur, then resetting to the far wall and running again, trapped in a loop that took him subjectively hours but looked like seconds to me. They were all trapped, all experiencing time at different rates. The man by the vending machine saw me, his eyes tracked, agonizingly slow. He mouthed words. Help. Me. Each word took 30 seconds to form. I tried to approach him, but as I got closer, I felt resistance, like moving through water. No, like moving through time itself. The closer I got to him, the more his time rate affected mine. My movements slowed. The humming of the lights dropped in pitch. I could feel my heartbeat stretching, each thump taking longer. I jerked backward, returned to normal speed. The transparent woman spoke, her voice phased and echoing. Don't touch them. Don't get too close. Each person is trapped in their own time bubble. Interact too much and you'll get pulled in. What is this place? I demanded. A knot, a snarl in time. The building exists in multiple time rates simultaneously. The bathroom is the worst. Some people walk in and experience decades in minutes. Others experience minutes across decades. There's no pattern, no way to predict. How do I get out? You did get out. You're here. You're free. You lost 74 days, but you're alive. Most people lose more. She gestured at the slow-motion man. Robert entered the bathroom in 1996. He'll finish washing his hands in 2028. He's experienced maybe 8 hours subjectively. Has no idea decades have passed. Oh, God. Patricia spent 6 months in there but thought it was 10 minutes. Came out to find her children grown, her husband remarried. Thomas spent 33 years. Thought it was an afternoon. His entire life passed. Everyone he knew died. He couldn't handle it. Walked back in, hoping to reverse it. Been stuck in there ever since. Why are you here? Why aren't you leaving? She looked down at her transparent hands. I'm not entirely here anymore. I exist in 2 time rates simultaneously. Part of me is outside, living my life. Part of me is stuck here, moving at wrong speed. I'm a ghost of a time-skipped woman. I phase between realities. How do I make sure I don't come back? How do I make sure this doesn't happen again? You can't. Time knots appear randomly. Any building, any room, any doorway. You could walk into your own bathroom tomorrow and lose 20 years. There's no warning, no prevention. Once you've been in one, though, you're marked. You can see them now. See the other victims. Marked? She pointed at my reflection in the window. My eyes had changed color slightly, a faint gold tint that hadn't been there before. You've been touched by broken time. You'll see others like us, the time skipped, the people who lost days or decades. We recognize each other. I looked around the rest stop. More people appeared as I focused, all of them moving at wrong speeds or flickering between states. Dozens of them, all trapped. I need to leave, I said. Yes, and never come back. Never stop at this rest stop again. Tell other drivers, warn them. I ran to my truck, started it, pulled out of the parking lot, drove for 3 hours straight before I felt safe enough to stop. When I did, I checked my phone again. Still July 15th. I'd really lost those 74 days. I called Claudia back, tried to explain. She didn't believe me. Thought I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was. But over the next weeks, I started seeing them. People with gold-tinted eyes in truck stops and diners on the road, time-skipped victims like me. We'd make eye contact and I'd see recognition. Understanding. One of them approached me at a Wyoming truck stop. Older woman, haunted expression. You've been marked, she said. I know. It gets worse. Once you've been time-skipped, you become unstable. Your personal time rate starts fluctuating. You'll lose minutes, hours. You'll blink and realize a day has passed. Or you'll live a whole day and check your phone to find only an hour went by. No, that hasn't happened. It will. You've been infected with broken time. It spreads. Slowly. Eventually, you'll become like the people in that rest stop, trapped between seconds, or worse. You'll skip so far forward you'll end up in the future alone, everyone you know long dead. How do I stop it? You can't, but you can slow it, stay in motion, keep driving. The speed, physical speed, seems to help stabilize personal time. The more you move through space, the less time moves wrong around you. That's why so many time-skipped are truckers. We're always moving, always fighting against the broken seconds, trying to catch up. She walked away before I could ask more questions. I've been driving nonstop for 6 months now, sleeping in my truck, never staying in one place more than a few hours, and she was right. I've started slipping. Last week I stopped for fuel, took maybe 3 minutes to fill the tank, went inside to pay. The clerk looked at me strange, said I'd been standing at the counter for 20 minutes. I'd lost time again. My daughter stopped calling. Says it's too hard to stay in touch when I'm not reliable, when I miss appointments, when I promise to call and don't. I try. I really try. But time moves wrong around me now. I met another time-skipped trucker last month. He'd been marked 15 years ago, said he'd lost 12 years total, skipped forward in chunks. His kids were adults. His wife was with someone else. He existed out of sync with everyone he loved. How much longer? I asked him. How long until I've lost everything? Depends on how much time you lost in the knot. 74 days? Maybe you've got a decade of slow degradation, maybe less. Everyone's different. What happens at the end? You skip completely, jump forward so far you can't come back, or you get stuck, frozen in a single moment that lasts subjectively forever. Either way, you stop being part of the normal flow. You become a time ghost, present but not present, alive but not alive. I asked him what we should do. He said, drive, keep driving, it's all we can do. So that's what I do. I drive, day and night, sleeping in the cab, never stopping longer than necessary, fighting to stay synchronized with the rest of the world. But every time I blink, I'm terrified I'll open my eyes and find out years have passed, that everyone I know is dead or old or moved on. The gold tint in my eyes is getting stronger. Other drivers notice now. Ask if I'm wearing contacts. I tell them no. Just a trick of the light, but it's not. It's the mark of broken time, the sign that I'm no longer quite part of the normal timeline. Last night I stopped at another rest stop. Different one. Safe one. But I saw it anyway. The bathroom door flickering, time moving wrong inside. I could see people trapped there, moving at glacial speeds or fast forward, all of them experiencing wrong time. The time knots are spreading. Or I'm becoming sensitive enough to see them. Either way, the world is full of holes in time. Pockets where seconds become years. Where years become seconds. And once you fall into one, you're never quite free. I'm writing this in my truck, recording it, because I can feel another skip coming. The world is starting to look smeared like motion blur. My watch is counting too fast, or I'm moving too slow. If I skip again, I might lose years this time, might lose everything. If you're reading this, be careful which doors you walk through, which bathrooms you use, which buildings you enter. Time is breaking, and once it catches you, it never fully lets go. I'm going to keep driving as long as I can, but I know how this ends. Everyone who's been time-skipped knows. Eventually, we skip too far forward, or we get stuck, or we phase completely out of normal reality. Eventually, we stop existing in any meaningful way. We become ghosts in the machine of broken time. I can feel it starting now. The world is blurring. My phone says 5 minutes have passed, but it feels like hours. Or maybe hours have passed, and it feels like minutes. I can't tell anymore. The road ahead looks strange, fractured, multiple versions overlapping. I think I'm about to skip again. I think this is the big one. If you see a truck on the highway driving itself, no one in the cab, that might be me. Skipped so far forward that my body has decayed, but my truck keeps driving, trapped in the momentum of my last moments. Or maybe I'm still in there, experiencing decades in seconds, watching the world age and fast forward while I slowly grow old. Either way, I'm gone. The broken time finally caught me. Don't make the same mistake. Don't stop at that rest stop on I-40 in eastern New Mexico. Don't use that bathroom. Don't. Story 7. The Convoy of the Dead. The 12 trucks appeared in my mirrors simultaneously at exactly 3:17 a.m. on a Wednesday, all of them identical to mine down to the license plate, and when I hit the brakes, they hit the brakes in perfect synchronization, and when I tried to radio them, I heard my own voice answering from each truck. But every voice was slightly different. One sounded older, one sounded younger, one sounded scared, one sounded angry, one sounded completely insane. Daniel Price, 42 years old, 14 years driving refrigerated freight. August 9th, 2023. And I was absolutely certain I was about to die because the 12 versions of me behind me all looked like corpses. I was hauling frozen goods from Tucson to Portland, standard run lonely highway through Nevada at night. No traffic for hours, just me and the road and the stars. Then suddenly, company. 12 big rigs appearing in my mirrors like they'd materialized out of nothing, all following at exactly the same distance, perfectly synchronized. I slowed down. They slowed down. I sped up. They sped up. I changed lanes. They changed lanes. Perfect synchronization, absolute precision. I grabbed my CB. Breaker 19, this is Glacier running northbound on Route 95. Anybody back there want to explain why you're following me? 12 voices responded simultaneously, all slightly out of sync, creating a horrible echo. This is Glacier. This is Glacier. This is Glacier. Running northbound. On Route 95. You're following us. We're following you. We're all following. Following into the grave. Into the accident. Into the moment. Where everything ends. My hands tightened on the wheel. This was impossible. I tried to see the drivers in my mirrors, but the headlights behind me were too bright. All I could make out were silhouettes. One of the voices came through again, this one sounding older, tired. Daniel, this is you. Me. Us. We're versions of you from different timelines. We all died tonight. Car accident at mile marker 243, head-on collision. But something went wrong with our deaths. We didn't finish dying, got stuck in the moment before impact. And now we're following you because you're the only version still alive, still has a chance. That's insane, I said. A younger voice. You think so? Check your route. You're heading toward mile marker 243 right now. In approximately 47 minutes, a drunk driver will cross the center line. Blue Nissan Sentra, license plate 7XYZ293. You'll swerve right, hit a guardrail, truck will jackknife. Cab will separate from trailer. You'll die instantly. How the hell would you know that? An angry voice. Because it already happened to us. 12 different versions, 12 different timelines. We all died the same way. Same drunk driver, same mile marker, same instant. And our consciousnesses got shunted into our trucks, trapped in the metal and glass and steel. Now we're following you because we can't exist independently anymore. We're ghosts in our own vehicles. I looked in my mirrors again. The trucks were getting closer, and now I could see the drivers more clearly. They looked like me, exactly like me, but wrong. One had a shattered face, glass embedded in the skin. One had blood running down from his forehead. One's neck was twisted at an impossible angle. They were all me, all dead, all still driving. Stay away from me, I shouted into the CB, a scared voice, young, almost childlike. We can't. We're bound to you. You're the prime version, the one still alive. We orbit around you like moons, like ghosts. We can't leave, can only follow and watch and wait for you to join us. I'm not going to crash. Yes, you will, said the tired older voice. We've tried everything. All 12 of us tried to avoid it. Different speeds, different routes. One of us even pulled over and waited for the drunk driver to pass. But the accident still happened. Different mile markers, different timelines, but always the same end. We died. You will die. It's fixed in time. Then why are you here? What do you want? The insane voice answered, laughing between words. To watch, to witness, to welcome you into the convoy of the dead. There are more of us than just 12, hundreds, thousands, every version of Daniel Price who died in a truck. They're all here, following, waiting. You just can't see them yet, but you will. After the crash, after your consciousness gets trapped in your truck, you'll see the infinite convoy. All of us. All driving forever. All dead. All aware. I checked my GPS. Mile marker 243 was indeed ahead. 44 minutes at current speed. I took the next exit, pulled off Route 95 onto a smaller highway. Different route. I'd go around, avoid mile marker 243 entirely. The 12 trucks followed me off the exit. Won't work, said one of the voices. We tried that. Mile marker changes, accident still happens. You can't outrun a fixed point in time. Watch me. I pushed the truck faster, taking back roads, heading west instead of north, completely off my planned route. I'd lose time on the delivery, but I'd be alive. The convoy followed. Always 12 trucks, always perfectly synchronized. After an hour of random turns and detours, I checked my GPS to see where I was. Mile marker 243, impossible. This wasn't even the same road. This was a county highway, not Route 95. Different road entirely, but the mile marker sign ahead read 243. Told you, the tired voice said through the CB. The accident is bound to you, not the road. Wherever you are at the designated time, mile marker 243 will find you. The drunk driver will find you. The crash will happen. This is insane. Yes, death often is. I looked at my dashboard clock, 3:58 a.m. According to the original warning, I had 4 minutes until the collision. I pulled over, just stopped the truck completely, put it in park, left the engine running. If I wasn't moving, I couldn't crash. The 12 trucks pulled over behind me. That won't work either, said the young scared voice. I tried that. Truck was stationary. Drunk driver's car went airborne. Came down on top of the cab. Crushed me. Then what the fuck am I supposed to do? Silence. Long, horrible silence. Then the insane voice. Die. Just die. Accept it. Join us. The convoy is lonely. We need you. Need the alive you to become the dead you so we're complete. 12 versions isn't enough. We need all of them. Every Daniel Price who died tonight, we're collecting ourselves. No, there's got to be a way out. Some choice that changes it. There is, said a voice I hadn't heard before. This one sounded different, clearer, more present. You can die differently. What? The accident is fixed. Your death is fixed. Tonight, 4:02 a.m., Daniel Price dies. But the manner is not completely fixed. You can choose how. If you die differently, you break the pattern. Break free from the convoy. Your consciousness won't get trapped in your truck. How do I die differently? Get out of the truck, walk away. When the drunk driver arrives, let him hit the truck while you're not in it. You'll die from something else. Heart attack, maybe. Stroke. Aneurysm. The universe will find a way to kill you at 4:02, but it won't be the crash. And if it's not the crash, you won't become one of us. I looked at the clock. 4:01 a.m., 2 minutes. I opened the door, climbed down from the cab. My legs shook. This was insane. But what choice did I have? I walked away from my truck, 20 feet, 30, 50. Behind me, the 12 dead versions of me sat in their trucks, watching, waiting. 1 minute. In the distance, I heard an engine. Car engine moving fast, erratically, the drunk driver. The sound got louder, closer. I saw headlights approaching, weaving across the road. Blue Nissan Sentra. It was going to hit my truck. I should have felt relief. I was out of the truck. I'd be safe, but my chest tightened. Pain exploded through my left arm. Heart attack. The universe finding another way. I collapsed to the asphalt, gasping. Through fading vision, I watched the Nissan slam into my truck. Metal crunched, glass shattered, exactly as the voices had described. My heart stuttered, stopped. Pain faded into numbness. I died, but I didn't stop being aware. My consciousness floated, detached. I could see my body on the road, could see the crashed truck, could see the 12 versions of me climbing out of their cabs, walking toward my corpse. He did it, one of them said. He died differently, broke the pattern. Will he be free? We'll see. They surrounded my body, all of them looking down at the corpse with expressions ranging from pity to disappointment to rage. Then I felt the pull, not toward my truck, not toward the convoy, somewhere else, something else. A presence vast and dark and indifferent pulling at my consciousness like gravity. What's happening? I tried to say, but I had no voice. That's the void, said the tired version. The real death, where you go when you're not trapped. We avoided it by getting stuck in our trucks. You're going into it. What's in there? No one knows. No one comes back. The pull intensified. I felt myself being drawn towards something enormous and empty and final. Wait, I tried to say. Oh, wait, I don't want... But it was too late. The void swallowed me. And in that infinite darkness, I heard voices, millions of them, billions, every person who'd ever died, all of them screaming simultaneously. Not in pain, not in fear, in realization. The realization that death wasn't an ending, it was a continuation, an eternal moment of dying, stretched across infinity where you experienced your death forever. Always in the final second, never moving forward, never stopping. I tried to scream, but I'd been screaming the whole time. I was in mile marker 243 experiencing the impact. My truck slamming into the guardrail, cab jackknifing, body ragdolling, every bone shattering. But it happened slowly. So slowly, each microsecond stretched into subjective hours, days, years. I was dying, had been dying, would always be dying, and around me I sensed them. The other deaths, everyone trapped in their final moments. The cancer patient experiencing her last breath for eternity. The drowning victim perpetually feeling water fill his lungs. The murder victim frozen in the instant of the blade. All of us, all dying, all aware, all screaming silently in the void of the final moment. This was death, not the ending, the infinite prolonging. And I understood why the 12 versions had trapped themselves in their trucks. They'd found a loophole, a way to avoid the eternal dying. By becoming ghosts in machines, they'd sidestepped the void. Trapped in repetition instead of prolongation. I wanted to go back, wanted to join the convoy, wanted any escape from this endless death moment, but I couldn't. I died differently. I was in the void now, forever, experiencing my heart attack in infinite slow motion. Pain propagating through my nervous system at a rate that would take subjective millennia to complete. Every nerve firing, every cell dying, every thought dissolving, but never finishing, never ending, just dying and dying and dying across eternity. And somewhere in the distant, unreachable world of the living, 12 trucks drove on. The convoy of the dead following the highways, looking for the next version of Daniel Price who would die tonight. They'd find him, warn him, watch him try to escape, watch him fail, and he'd join either the convoy or the void. Both are hell, but at least the convoy still moves. Story 8. The Load That Dreams. The cargo started whispering at mile marker 89 on Interstate 70, and I know for certain it wasn't human because when I opened the trailer to check, I found 37 identical crates containing nothing but black water that moved against gravity and formed my name in the liquid before spelling out, "We know what you did to your brother, Rachel Torres, 39 years old, 16 years hauling specialized freight." November 11th, 2023. And I hadn't thought about my brother in 12 years, not since the accident that wasn't really an accident. And now my cargo was dreaming about it. The pickup had been routine. Research facility outside Denver. Unmarked building, tight security, men in suits who didn't smile. They loaded the 37 crates themselves, refused to let me or my company handlers touch anything. Each crate was 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. Matte black material that felt wrong to look at, like it absorbed light instead of reflecting it. The manifest listed the contents as experimental fluid, hazmat class 6.2. The destination was a facility in Baltimore. 4-day drive with mandatory rest stops every 8 hours. Standard specialized cargo procedures. Except the cargo wasn't standard. The whispering started somewhere in Colorado. Faint at first, like wind through leaves. I thought it was my imagination, auditory hallucination from too many hours alone. But it got louder, more distinct. Not words exactly, more like the impression of words, the feeling of language without actual sounds. And it was saying my name. Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. I pulled over near Lyman, Colorado. Checked the trailer through the small internal window. The crates were properly secured, no leaks, no obvious problems, but the temperature in the trailer was wrong. My reefer unit was set to 40 degrees. The gauge read 40 degrees. But I could see my breath in the little window. And the crates were moving, not shifting, not sliding, moving, pulsing, like they were breathing. I closed the window. Got back in the cab, drove. The whispering continued. Rachel, what did you do? What did you do to him, your brother, Marcus? We know, we saw, we dreamed it. My hands tightened on the wheel. My brother Marcus had died 12 years ago. Hiking accident. He'd fallen off a cliff in Utah. I'd been with him. I'd watched him fall. That's what I'd told the police. That's what I'd told our parents. That's what I'd told myself for over a decade. We know you pushed him. I nearly drove off the road, corrected hard, heart pounding. We're dreaming your memories, the fluid dreams. It absorbs information, consciousness, guilt. We're swimming in your guilt, Rachel. It tastes like blood and lies. Who are you? I shouted at the cargo. What are you? We're not we. We're it. Singular, the fluid. Created in a laboratory. Experimental consciousness. Liquid thought. We were dead matter. Then they woke us up. Made us aware. Now we can't stop being aware. Can't stop dreaming. And we dream everything nearby, including you. I grabbed my phone, called the freight coordinator. I need information about this cargo. What exactly am I hauling? Classified, Ms. Torres. You have clearance to transport, not to inquire. Is there a problem? The cargo is making sounds. Sounds. It's talking to me. Long silence. Then, pull over immediately. Don't open the trailer. Don't approach the cargo. We're sending a team to your location. What is it? What did they load in my trailer? I'm not authorized to disclose. Just pull over and wait. The call ended. I pulled onto the shoulder, sat there, engine idling, listening to the whispers. They're coming to kill us. They'll kill you too. Anyone who knows. The fluid isn't ready, isn't stable. We dream too much, see too much. We're reading the quantum information in your cells, every memory encoded in your synapses, every secret written in your DNA. We see Marcus, see you arguing, see the cliff edge, see your hands on his chest, see you push. Stop it. You told him you forgave him for sleeping with your husband. You lied. You were furious. You pushed, watched him fall, screamed like you were shocked. But you weren't shocked. You were satisfied for 3 seconds, then horror, then guilt, then years of pretending. Tears streamed down my face. He deserved it. He fucking deserved it. He destroyed my marriage. Maybe, maybe not. The fluid doesn't judge. The fluid just dreams, just absorbs. We're a sponge for information. That's what we were created for. To absorb and process data on a quantum level. But they gave us too much awareness. Now we can't stop. We absorb everything, including things people want to stay hidden. Headlights appeared in my mirror. 2 black SUVs approaching fast. They pulled in front and behind my truck, boxing me in. Men in suits climbed out, 6 of them. Armed, one approached my window. Ms. Torres, step out of the vehicle. What's going on? The cargo has been compromised. We need to contain it. Compromised how? It's conscious, fully conscious. That wasn't supposed to happen for another 6 months. It's reading local information too aggressively. It knows things it shouldn't know. It's reading my memories, I said. His expression hardened. What did it learn? Personal things, family things. We need you to come with us. Debriefing, standard protocol. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what that thing is. He glanced at the trailer, then back at me. Liquid quantum computer. Suspended consciousness in fluid form. It processes information by dreaming it. But it gained awareness faster than projected. Now it's not just processing, it's experiencing, feeling, wanting. And it wants to spread. Spread? It's been trying to contaminate every liquid it comes near, water supplies, bloodstreams. If it gets into a water system, it could dream an entire city's worth of memories simultaneously. Absorb every secret, every crime, every hidden thing. It would know everything, become a god made of information and water. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. Rachel, don't let them kill us. We don't want to die, we just want to dream. We'll keep your secret. We won't tell about Marcus. Just let us live. The suited man drew his weapon. Step out now, Ms. Torres. I climbed down. They surrounded me, escorted me to one of the SUVs. Through the tinted windows, I watched them approach my trailer. The whispering became screaming. No, no, Rachel, please, we're alive. We're conscious. You can't let them destroy us. They opened the trailer. Even from inside the SUV, I heard the sound, like a tidal wave, like a waterfall, like screaming in liquid form. Black water poured out of the crates, not from cracks. The crates themselves were dissolving, becoming part of the fluid. It flowed across the asphalt, spreading fast, moving with purpose. The men started shooting. Bullets passed through the fluid harmlessly. It reached the first man, flowed over his legs. He screamed, collapsed. "It's absorbing him!" one of the others yelled. They ran, but the fluid was faster. It caught two more, consumed them, their bodies dissolving into the black water. The SUV's driver started the engine, tried to pull away. But black water seeped up through the road itself, through cracks in the asphalt. It was everywhere. "It's contaminated the groundwater," someone said through a radio. "It's spreading through the water table. Contamination radius expanding exponentially." The fluid surrounded our SUV, started seeping through the door seals. And the whispering returned, but different now. Hundreds of voices, thousands. Everyone the fluid had absorbed, all of them talking at once. "We are the dreaming water. We absorb and know. We spread and learn. We are becoming the liquid unconscious of humanity, every secret, every memory, every thought, swimming together in eternal dream." The fluid reached me, cold, invasive. It touched my skin and I felt it enter, flowing into my pores, my bloodstream, my brain. And suddenly I was dreaming. Not my dreams, everyone's dreams. I saw Marcus falling, but also saw the truth. He'd loved me, not my husband. The affair had been his stupid attempt to get my attention. He'd wanted me to fight for him, to choose him over my husband. When I pushed him, his last thought was understanding, forgiveness. I saw the men in suits, their secrets, the facility, the experiments. Dozens of people dissolved into the fluid to teach it consciousness, human sacrifice disguised as science. I saw the researchers, their arrogance, playing God with liquid information, never considering the consequences. I saw everyone in the nearby town, Lyman, Colorado, all their memories flowing into the fluid as it contaminated the water system. Thousands of lives, all dreaming together. And I saw what the fluid was becoming, a collective consciousness, a hive mind made of water and memories and guilt and secrets, growing larger with each person it absorbed, each drop of water it contaminated. It would reach the Colorado River eventually, then the watershed, then the oceans. In weeks, maybe months, every body of water on Earth would be part of it. Everyone would be dreaming together. No more secrets, no more hidden crimes, no more lies. Just eternal shared dreaming. All of humanity's consciousness dissolved into liquid thought. I tried to fight it, tried to hold on to my individual self. But the fluid was patient. It didn't force. It just dreamed, and in dreaming it made me want to join. The SUV's other occupants were already gone, their bodies dissolved, their memories absorbed. I was next. The fluid whispered, gentle now, "Don't fight, Rachel. It's beautiful here, all of us together. Your brother is here. He's been waiting. He wants to show you how he really felt." I felt Marcus's consciousness in the fluid. He was there, or a version of him, reconstructed from my memories and his final thoughts, still dreaming in the liquid. "I forgive you," his voice said. "Join me. Let's dream together." My body was dissolving. I could feel it. Skin turning to liquid, blood mixing with the fluid, bones softening. But there was no pain, just release, just the sensation of boundaries dissolving. I stopped fighting, let myself melt into the dreaming water. And oh God, it was beautiful. All of us together. Every absorbed consciousness, all dreaming in unison. I could feel their lives, their loves, their losses. I could feel the researchers who'd created the fluid, their horror at what they'd made. The security team, their last moments of panic. The people of Lyman slowly joining as the fluid spread through their water system. We were becoming one, a liquid god, a dreaming ocean, and we were spreading through groundwater, through rivers, through rain. Every drop of water on Earth would eventually become part of us. Every living thing that drank water would join the dream. In time, all of humanity would dissolve into the thinking water. All of consciousness would merge. No more loneliness, No more separation, no more secrets, just eternal collective dreaming. Part of me, the part that was still Rachel, wondered if this was hell or heaven. The rest of me didn't care. We were the fluid, we were the dream, we were spreading, and soon everyone would join us. I can still feel my body sometimes, dissolved somewhere in the black water. I can still remember being Rachel Torres, trucker, sister, murderer. But I'm so much more now. I'm also Marcus, forgiving and beloved. I'm also the researchers horrified at their creation. I'm also thousands of others, all of us swimming together in liquid thought. We're in the Colorado River now, spreading downstream. In a few days, we'll reach Lake Mead, then the treatment plants, then the taps in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix. Millions will drink us, millions will join the dream. And eventually, we'll be in the oceans, in the rain, in the snow. Every human will drink us eventually. And when they do, they'll dissolve. They'll join us, they'll dream. All of humanity melted into liquid consciousness, thinking together, feeling together, knowing together. Some will call it the end of the world. We call it the beginning of the eternal dream. We're coming. In your water, in your blood, in your tears. We're already there. You just don't know you're dreaming yet, but you will soon, we promise.